Hi everyone, welcome to the Mathemagic channel. Today we look at how we multiply decimals. There's also a worksheet included in the description below. Let's go. So how do we multiply decimals? Well, we need to get good at counting decimal points. Now, what does that mean? So if you think about decimal numbers which could be given to you, count the decimal points for each number that you multiply and then add them to each other to get the number of decimal points in the answer. That's right. So if one number has 2 decimal points and the next number has 3 decimal points, you do 2 plus 3 is 5, and that's the number of decimal points in your answer. So you need to count the decimal points and add them to each other. So let's try and see if we can work on some examples here. So first, let's agree on 4 times 2 being 8. Do we all agree that 4 times 2 is 8? Okay, that's great. Now, what is 0.04 times 0.2? Now, if you follow the technique that we were looking at before, we need to think about the number of decimal points in 0.04 and the number of decimal points in 0.2. Now, 0.04 has 2 digits after the decimal point, the 0 and the 4. And then 0.2 has 1 digit after the decimal point. So we have 2 decimal points and we have 1 decimal point. So what do we need to do? We need to add those together. That's right. So 2 decimal points plus 1 decimal point, that'll be 3 decimal points. So our answer is going to have 3 decimal points. Now, there's an 8 because 4 times 2 is 8, but the 8 is the third number in the decimal. So that means after the 0. So 0.008, and that looks like 3 decimal points. So you add the 2 with the 1, 2 decimal points, 1 decimal points, the answer will have 3. That's how we multiply decimals. Let's try another example. What about 4 times 3, which is 12? So that's a little bit different because there's a carryover, but 0.04 times 0.3 will follow the same technique. So if we have a technique, we just need to use it. So again, we have 2 decimal points. 0.3 has 1 decimal point. So what do we need to do? We need to add the decimal points, which means we will have 3 decimal points in our answer. And so if you think about it, yes, it's 3 times 4, which is 12, but 3 decimal points will be 0.012. So the 0, the 1, and the 2 are 3 numbers which are in the decimals. What about another case where there's a 0 that might carry over? So thinking about something like 4 times 15, which is 60. Now 4 times 15, there's a 0 at the end. How does that work? Well, let's do 0.04 times 0.15. We can all agree on the fact that the first number has 2 decimal points. The second number also has 2 decimal points. So if we add those together, we should get 4 decimal points. So our answer will have 4 decimal points. Okay, so that's good. Now in our answer, we should have 0.00 and then 6 and 0 because the last 0 is part of those 4 decimals. And so we need to be careful with that. 0060, just as you would normally do it. So count the 0. Make sure that you do count it because if you don't, you're going to place it wrong. However, of course, when we simplify our answer, because in mathematics we like to simplify answers sometimes, we can get rid of the 0 at the end, and so it's just 0.006. But we still follow the technique, so the technique works. It just means that the 0 at the end is a little bit useless and we can get rid of it. So this is how we multiply decimals. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Mathemagic channel. Please practice the worksheet, which will be in the description below. And we really appreciate your support. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.